special, and you're ready to go. Fueling the American spirit. Marathon and Quick Stop Market. Run in when you run out.
Colin Cowherd.
By the way, I feel bad for Drew Brees. Once again undone by a teammate or a coach. They've had 5 defensive coordinators in 11 years. He was brilliant against the best defense in the league, arguably. Second half alone, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and 140 tackle rate. The conversation today in America would be Drew Brees is amazing.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
2 through 5 on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-City. Follow us on Facebook. Couple of notes before I want to get to NFL coaching news. This story is out there. I guess Roquan Smith, he was the great linebacker at the University of Georgia. He was the Butkus Award winner, and he'll be a Bulldog no longer. He's going to leave Georgia, enter the NFL draft. Not a surprise. 6.5 sacks to lead the Georgia Bulldogs, I believe, last year. 17 quarterback hurries. Now, I do wonder about his size in the NFL at 6'1", 225. Even for an outside linebacker, I think they'd like to see minimum 15 more pounds of muscle, if not 20. So I wonder if possibly, I mean, that's a wonderful size for a safety if he's got the speed to play safety. I know Carnell Lake, this goes back a ways, but he's now assistant coach for the Steelers, but Carnell Lake, who you may remember playing for, of all things, you are seeing Lake. He played for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was a linebacker at UCLA, and he played safety in the NFL. It's not that easy to make that transition, trust me. But it is something that I wonder if Smith won't be asked to do. We'll find out more at the Combine, I guess. The other story that I wanted to tell you, they put the high school basketball rankings out, state of Tennessee. In all the rankings, not one team from the Tri-Cities area, and we can debate what the Tri-Cities area is. I think that Greenville is part of the Tri-Cities. I think Johnson County is part of the Tri-Cities. I think Hancock County is part of it's the greater metropolitan area. Burgoynesville, Church Hill. Volunteer plays the teams around here. So, you want to argue that Morristown is more Knoxville, I might argue that you're right there. Okay? But, yeah, I think that Greenville associates more with the Tri-Cities than does, say, certainly Newport, but, just someplace like that. Irwin is part of the Tri-Cities. Okay? Sam's Gap, maybe not. That, because we don't associate North Carolina with the Tri-Cities. Wise, Virginia, sure. Abingdon, absolutely. Bristol, Virginia, sure. Virginia, you're okay there. Damascus, yeah, you're going to drive to the mall. North Carolina, you hit that border, you start saying, you know what, maybe we got to shop in Asheville, Forks of Ivy Plaza. Not that I think that that's really all that flourishing, but I just see it when I drive past it on the interstate, No teams from the Tri-Cities area, and I don't care if you use Morristown in these rankings, none in the high school basketball top 10s released. Trying to see what the closest team to the area is. Maryville, ranked number 8 in Class AAA. How about Austin East? Well, they played Unicoi County, beat them in the playoffs in football. They're number 2 in Class AA. Cosby is ranked 6th in Class A, but that's not the Tri-Cities. They do play, I remember them playing, University High and schools like that historically, but that's not a Tri-Cities team. Division II schools, Knox Webb. A lot of talk that Knox Central or Knox Catholic's going to go D2, and they probably should. I say that Providence Christian Academy in D2 is ranked number 5. That's fine. But I just wanted to say that I always thought that the high school basketball here a little overrated, especially with the attention given to it and such. Never been, always thought that so much more attention should have been given to ETSU. I think that if half the attention that is given high school basketball by people who don't have, friends, family playing on the high school teams, and it was given to the real big league team in town, could be a nationally ranked program. You wouldn't be at Freedom Hall. You'd be at the Mini Dome. You know why? Because they would refurbish it to seat 12,000 because that's what people would be going. That's the amount of attendance that would be going there, or they'd need such an arena. I'm just saying. There's never been an NBA player from the Tri-Cities. Not one. I mean, you got Mr. and you got Harley Skeeter Swift, and maybe those are the guys that you should be championing because, you know what? They are the major pro basketball players that came from the area. They're not natives. They were both from Virginia. But they played at ETSU. It's ETSU that gets you to the highest level in basketball, not the local high schools. Anyway, that's just a talk, and I've thought, and I've always just thought that high school basketball around here, given a little bit too much attention. There was a time where Science Hill games preempted ETSU games on the radio on another station, but I never thought that was a good idea. And so, regardless, I did want to say Mike Mularkey, and I just got a story that came out, and I'm going to talk about this in the next hour. This came by that supposedly some of the Steelers owners, now the minority owners, not the Rooney family, but they are pressuring Art Rooney II, who is the president of the Steelers, and has been for some time. Dan Rooney passed away this past offseason, but Rooney was he was more of the ambassador. I guess he may have had, the right to oversee something or overrule something, but it was really Art Rooney II that had been running the franchise for years and years. And supposedly they are answering my prayers and saying, you know what, let's think about another coach other than Mike Tomlin. Very interesting. And something that I think is long overdue. The other, and I'm going to talk about that at 1. I talked about it so much yesterday, but that's a very interesting story coming out. I wanted to speak of Mike Mularkey. One of the things, speaking of old Steelers coaches, Mike Mularkey is a great tight end, sure-handed, absolutely sure-handed. Nobody was better than Mike Mularkey when it came to grabbing the pass. He never dropped a pass. In fact, there were statistics. I say he never would, but he would be like the entire year, he'd have one drop pass the whole year when he was a tight end. And among the teams that he played for were the Steelers. And he started playing for them in '89 for Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll almost left the Steelers after 1988. They had just finished 5-11. It was his worst year since coming to Three Rivers Stadium. His second worst year of his career. And some of the people, the Rooneys, came to him and said, you know what, we'd like you to get rid of some of these assistants. They're just not working out. And he eventually was going to say, to heck with that, I'm quitting. One of the assistants, by the way, they wanted to relieve him of was Tony Dungy. So you can see where, Noel, you think that being loyal to Tony Dungy was a good idea? Yeah, I kind of think so. Eventually, though, Dungy, and it may have been that he said, I know that this guy is bright and up and coming. Dungy can get another job somewhere, I'll give you the recommendation. I think my 4 Super Bowls will be a pretty good reference. And in fact, I think he went to Kansas City right after that. Dungy, and was their defensive coordinator under Marty Schottenheimer. So that and Schottenheimer had played for Noel, so that kind of makes some sense. But Noel did not want to relieve himself of the assistants. He almost quit over it. Instead, he came back and he made the playoffs one last time, and cooler heads prevailed. But it was sort of that situation that I saw where Munchak's loyalty to Terry Robisky, again, we can discuss, Robisky's resume as an offensive coordinator isn't all that good. I get that. However, he was there when Mariota went from losing quarterback to winning quarterback and 3,600-yard quarterback last year. Wasn't Robisky who said, break your leg, Marcus Mariota? That wasn't him. I do realize Mariota regressed this past year. However, I really like that loyalty by Mularkey. The other thing, and Joe Rexrod mentions this, is that why would you get rid of a coach when your general manager, John Robinson, says how much he likes the offense? Yeah, that conservative, ball control. Maybe we'll run the ball on 3rd and 3. He likes that, Robinson has said publicly. Joe Rexrod on the show yesterday said, yeah, why would you, do this unless, and Rexrod pointed to this, Robinson really thinks he can get Josh McDaniel, and he wants Josh McDaniel. Now, I don't know why you want Josh McDaniel. Patriots assistant coaches always lose in the pros. So, say what you will. But I will tell you this, Mularkey, by being loyal to Robisky, even if he was in the wrong, even if Robisky is the worst offensive coordinator in the league, and I know a lot of Titans fans thought that he was, having loyalty, willing to go down with your assistant, that's gonna do good things for Mularkey in the future. I don't know if he'll be a head coach again. I think even if he has a conservative style, he could be an offensive coordinator because a head coach is going to know that he will be loyal to him because he has this track record of being loyal to his assistants. And I think that that is something that I would look for certainly in an assistant coach if I was coaching in the NFL. Heck, it's what I'd be looking for if I was hiring an employee in any field. Next hour, we're going to talk about that hockey game, Golden Knights in Nashville. But yeah, what is this? Could Mike Tomlin finally be on the way out in Pittsburgh? So many other stuff to talk about. Baseball news, you got it all.
NBC Sports Radio.